everyone. I am about 5 hours post meal because I ate my breakfast early this morning. I had an early 7:30 a.m. mass and I spiked pretty bad. I went to about 201, but it actually came down on its own. Pretty nasty spike. Sometimes I think it's because I was out of my routine. I got up early and the dawn phenomenon could have kicked in and set my blood sugar a little higher. But now, as you see, I kind of came down into the 90s, and I don't want to eat until like noon or 1 o'clock because I want to get back on my schedule. So I just ate a little, like 2 glucose tabs, and it bumped me up to like 113 or 115. So I'm doing really good at 113 and stable for eating those clabs. I won't have to worry about eating lunch until when I want to eat lunch. So I'm not letting diabetes control me. So anyways, let's jump into the video. Hi everyone, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. I am rocking a Polaroid shirt I got from, I believe, Rue 21. I don't know if you guys heard of that store. I'll put the name right in here. But it's pretty cool. It's got like all the different like Polaroid colors, and it's just this Polaroid instant film. I do have a Polaroid camera. I hope to be showing you guys how I use that and take photos with it. But anyways, I just love this shirt, so I got it along with a Friends themed shirt. So I'm kind of excited to have some more graphic tees and stuff. So anyways, today's video we're going to be talking about my first sensor impressions with the Dexcom G6. So, private information, hang on a second. With the Dexcom G6, and if you guys don't know what they kind of look like, the sensors, they look like this. So when you insert it, you put it on whatever part of your body. Like for me, I have mine on my arm right now, but your stomach, thigh, whatever it may be. And next week I'm going to talk about my 1 month impressions because I'm on my 4th sensor, or my 4th time around using this Dexcom G6. So I will do a 1 month update for you guys next week with my new videos. But today we're going to get a first impressions with my first sensor, my first 10 days, so that I can give you guys a guide if you're interested in getting the Dexcom G6, what to kind of expect, or maybe what I go through might kind of help you prepare and plan ahead of what you can kind of go through yourself. But first of all, I'm going to say this. Go to a training session. Like for me, they require I do a training session. Any new prescription I get, whether it be a pump or a CGM or a monitor, whatever the case may be, I have to go in and get trained by a certified diabetes educator or a diabetes health nurse. So I went in for training with that. Obviously, it's not hard to insert and hard to use. That wasn't the part I was interested in going for, but they told me a few other things that I wouldn't have thought about as far as customizing your alerts to match your lifestyle and so on and so forth, and being aware that there are all these other alerts that you can set to make things easier and more convenient for you to manage your diabetes on the go or whatever you do. So first of all, go to a training session if you can. That is my first advice. Now, I'm going to first talk about the insertion. I'm going to talk about a whole realm of different things, but I'll first talk about the insertion. How does it feel to insert it? Is it hard to insert? So on and so forth. Not really. So I'm going to show you guys how to insert one in a different video, but basically the insertion process is so much simpler than I believe the G5 or the G4 was. I believe the G5 and the G4, it kind of looked like a little like long sticked handle, and you had to put it on and manually insert and pull a collar up in order to get the wire under your skin. But this is an auto inserter, so I will show you guys again. This is an auto inserter, so you literally press, say this is my stomach, you literally put the sensor on your skin, you break this safety tab out, push the button, it's in, you lift up, it's stuck to your, the wire and the sensor are attached to your body. So to insert it is not hard at all, and to put the transmitter in is not very hard at all either. I will show you guys more up close with my transmitter. Right now it's on this arm. I don't want to kind of roll it up and mess around with it, so it'll just kind of sit there for now. But to insert the transmitter, it's not as difficult as the G5 either. You literally, I've never had the G5, but what I've seen from other people, you basically push it in and push down. It'll click 2 times and it's in. It's not like you got to like push it in and pull a tab down, kind of like the G5 had. Again, I've never had the G5, but from what I've seen and what I've heard from other people's YouTube videos from Beyond Type 1, to insert and attach transmitters, they're a pain in the rear with the G4 and the G5 series of Dexcom, but the G6 is all automatic. It's the first generation of automatic insertion. So for that, it's good. Now I'll talk about how it feels to insert it. So I have tried one other site beyond the stomach or the abdomen area. So I will kind of explain maybe more in a different video of how accurate it is at different location sites, but I will just say how it felt on both sites. For the abdomen, when I pushed the button, I had to ask the nurse if I put it in because I didn't feel anything. I felt something click and move, but there was no pain or pinch. However, when I went to insert it on my arm, I did feel a pinch and a little bit of a like sharp, like somebody like pinched your skin just right and drew up really fast. Almost like somebody when they poke you with a needle, or kind of like when you get a little hot water on your hand and you kind of get that pinning or burning sensation and then it's gone. That's what I felt here. I may or may not have hit a little bit of fascia or muscle tissue. So, but it hasn't been reading bad or anything, so I must have not hit it too hard in the muscle. But I definitely felt more of a pinch with the arm. However, to me, it's more convenient to have it on the arm just because I sleep on my stomach. I would rather not have it on my stomach. I did wear for the first 2 sensors on my stomach, but the 3rd and 4th sensors on my arm. So, anyways, it gives you kind of a variety so you don't get scar tissue and so on and so forth. But anyways, as far as that goes, it's not really that painful. To me, it's worth the little pinch on the arm to get it off my stomach. I have not tried my thigh yet. I might do that after. Leave in the comments below if you have tried your thigh and if you found it's been accurate or not, because I do have a little bit of fat on my thigh. I will not try the upper back or the buttock area because I do not have enough subcutaneous tissue there to do it with. I will never give myself injections there either just because I would be too scared I'd hit muscle. So, now I'm going to talk about the accuracies. So, as you guys may or may not have saw my Dexcom G6 training day vlog, I believe I posted that last week, you guys kind of saw how inaccurate it was after I put it in. So, like, when it first started up, I believe it said my blood sugar was like 68 or 69, and my actual blood sugar was like 190. So it was really off, like completely off. And I'm like, oh, great. And it stayed kind of like that for the first 3 days for sure. Pretty inaccurate. I would say for the most part it was 30 to 50 points away from my actual blood sugar, which is pretty inaccurate because 30 to 50 points for me can make a totally different treatment decisions because I am super insulin sensitive. So I was kind of frustrated at it. I'm like, you're kidding me. This is the latest generation of a G6 sensor. There's supposed to be no calibrations. There's supposed to be no finger sticks. It's supposed to be highly accurate, like within 10 either way. Not 20, but 10. Either way, and it's giving me inaccurate readings. And I was actually really frustrated because I had a low blood sugar. I believe it was a 56. I will put that in millimoles, 56 milligrams per deciliter, and my Dexcom said I was 89. And I said, you failed. You could have at least told me my blood sugar was 75 or at least in the lower range so that I could have thought about to treat. And I didn't hardly feel it until I sat up off the couch and I thought my head started to spin a little bit and I thought there's something wrong here. So I went and tested and I was 56. I said, what? It took me like, I don't know, like 4 glucose tabs to get it up to 90. And then I had to, because I wanted to go to bed, I just ate 2 more and I shouldn't have because my blood sugar was 180 with a straight arrow going up. So I ended up spiking to like 190, but then I came down by the next morning. Thankfully for my long acting kind of took care of some of that sugar. Anyways, I was a little frustrated. It's like, you curious? You could have saved my life, and you didn't. Thank God I have my meter and stuff. But anyways, but after about the 3rd or 4th day, it started getting really accurate. Like day 4 through 10, it was like spot on. Like, I've had it where it was spot on. I've had it within 10 to 15 most of the time, so I felt very comfortable with it starting to recognize my own body and recognize my trends in my blood sugar after I eat or take insulin or whatever the case may be, or exercise. I was very much able to trust the direction of the blood sugar and the number itself. I was getting very trustworthy with that. And actually a couple times in the middle of the night it saved my life. I set the low bar for 75. It had actually woken me up in the middle of the night saying your blood sugar's low. And I didn't really feel anything, but I sat up in bed and my heart started pounding, and I knew something right then and there was a low blood sugar, so I slugged juice down. I wasn't even thinking about taking my meter out. I thought, okay, we're going to really test this and see what it is, because if in the morning I'm highly high, obviously this thing was giving me a false low blood sugar. So I drank the juice box, got my blood sugar. According to that, I got it up to like 125 or something, and it stabilized all night, and then overnight it kind of slowly dropped from the basal, and then it kind of, I think I woke up at like 102 or something, and Dexcom said 102 and my meter said like 99, and I said, oh my gosh, this thing saved my life. This thing's great. This thing has made my life so much easier. And then from then forth, I was just like, yes, I'm in love with this. It's all good and everything. And it got better and better as I obviously has progressed to more sensors. It's gotten super accurate. I feel like I can totally trust it if I don't want to pull my meter out. Or if I like now, because my blood sugar went a little lower, I had 2 glucose tabs to bump it up. I totally trusted it because I was feeling a little hungry and I didn't want to have to eat lunch early. I wanted to prolong my lunch, so I just had a little snack of like a couple glucose tablets or, you know, like fruit snacks or whatever you want to eat. And it kind of just helped keep my blood sugar stable, so I was able to trust it and make decisions. As far as like catching lows and highs, it is very accurate. Ever since after the 4th day of the first sensor, it has been very, very accurate. I would say it has definitely caught a ton of, I've been able to prevent a lot of low blood sugars or catch blood sugars before they get dangerously low. And number 2, I've been able to treat my high blood sugars a lot faster and know what certain foods do to me and to my blood sugar after I eat them. So I have my high bar set for 200. I'm thinking of dropping it to 180 just because I want to have tight control of my blood sugars. I do not want complications in the future. So I have dropped my high bar from 240 to 200, and I'm hoping to drop it to 180 or 170 pretty soon so that I can keep it in a narrow gray range of things. So I would say as far as catching highs and lows, it is great, but I still always, not so much for low blood sugars, I don't really test a lot anymore, but for high blood sugars, I do test. If it says I'm 201, I'll test, and usually my meter will say anywhere from, you know, that 191 to 211, so it'll be very close within that 10 points. Perfect. I can do my correction, take my blood sugar target, subtract 100 and divide by 100 to give me my correction and bring me back down, so that it's absolutely perfect. I feel like I definitely can trust it for lows. I'm still learning to kind of trust it for highs, and anyways, now I'll talk about can I trust the directional arrows. So obviously, as you guys know, Dexcom has directional arrows. I actually went down a little bit more. My blood sugars today are a hoot. But I'm getting close to my period for whatever reason. I run lower right before my period, and then I run high during my period. So, anyways. I feel like I can definitely trust these arrows to drive, to make treatment decisions, and so on and so forth. So, like, if I look at my phone and I'm 104 and stable, I feel like that's good. I feel like I wouldn't have to add insulin to that if I was not going to use it. If it's a straight arrow headed up, you add like 30. 2 arrows up, you add 60. And it's the opposite if you're headed down. If you're headed 1 arrow down, you subtract 30. If you're headed 2 arrows down, you subtract 60. If it's slight up or down or stable, like I showed you on my receiver, you can pretty much trust that number, or around that number is where your blood sugar is at. Now, honestly, I still test my blood sugar with a meter. And here's why. First of all, I have a Lansing device called the Gentile, which is much more comfortable to use. I can test on my palm or my arm and still get fairly accurate readings, so I don't have to prick my fingers as much, so my fingers are healing nicely, and that's one of the reasons I still test. And number 2, I like to make sure this thing works because it is the first generation with no finger sticks and no calibrations. There's still going to be flukes in it. I've had it to where I feel like I still have to calibrate it if it's more than like 15 or 20 off. I will calibrate it to make it spot on, and then usually the rest of the day it's great. Honestly, I don't think, as of right now, do I think this replaced finger sticks? And my answer to that is no. And some people may or may not agree with me on that, and that's okay. The way I manage my diabetes will be way different than the way someone else manages theirs. But honestly, I still, for sure, after I get comfortable using it for meals, I still probably will test my blood sugar. I only test my blood sugar about 4 times a day right now, so I hope to maybe test 2 eventually. I still want to test in the morning and before I go to bed. The reason for this is because you type 1 diabetics know those are probably the 2 most critical times you need to test your blood sugar. Because those are the 2 most times where you don't know what kind of went on overnight. And you have this to kind of give you an idea now. But you want to make sure that this thing is accurate so it can give you a good picture of what happened overnight. So I test my blood sugar before I go to bed to make sure, okay, I'm high enough, I don't need to eat a snack, or I'm, not so high that I need to take a correction, or something like that. And then it'll be good all night, that I can pretty trust that what happened overnight is what happened overnight. And I still test in the morning too, because sometimes overnight the thing can kind of go wonky. Or, like as you said, in the morning, you've just woken up. Sometimes you can't feel if you're low or high, and you want to make sure that you didn't have too much of the dawn phenomenon kick in, or that you didn't have too much insulin with your basal rate. So it's a good way to test and make sure, too. Test in the morning, so before you eat breakfast or whatever. So I still do those two tests, and I still test before lunch and dinner, too. But like I said, I don't really test for low blood sugars anymore, and I'm starting to transition to not testing for high blood sugars anymore. But it's going to take time for me to get comfortable with this being my little babysitter for my blood sugars. My mom calls it the babysitter. How's your babysitter? Thanks, Mom. Yeah. I'm 20 years old and I have a babysitter. Anyways, you know, I think Dexcom will get better and better to the point where we won't have to worry about having meters or test strips anymore. But I still do a few times a day just to ensure that my blood readings do match the fluid readings in here, because this does not measure blood sugar. It measures the fluid that sits between your cells, called the interstitial fluid, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the term. So it's good that you can check and make sure that the blood sugar mirrors the actual interstitial fluid as close as possible, so that if you're on the go or forget your meter or run out of test strips, that you can pretty much trust this thing to do things with. And like I said, I'm slowly but surely learning to trust it. I would say I trust it about 80% of the time now. I still test a couple meals that I probably really won't need to, and I still am testing for high blood sugars to give myself a proper correction, but I don't test for lows anymore. I just trust it, and you know, because I'd rather assume my blood sugar's too low than not, and treat it right away so that I don't pass out or get a seizure from a low blood sugar. So that's kind of my thoughts on the accuracy and the directional things. Now I'm going to talk about how does it stay on good. So the sensor adhesive patch, I wasn't going to take a risk because it's got to stay on your body for 10 days. It's got to go through showering. It's got to go through sleeping, bumps, lumps, clothes on, clothes off, wet, sweat, you name it. It's got to go through it. So I immediately put on an Expression Med tape on mine so that it would stay on the 10 days. I have not had a problem with them really peeling up. And also, too, Dexcom, if you call Dexcom tech support, you can get a pack of free, I'm going to grab them quick, of 10 free overlay patches, which are a little more, I'll open one up, but they're a little bit more, like, discreet, where you don't see, like, the colors, but honestly, I don't care. I want to show off my diabetes stuff because I'm proud to be a type 1 diabetic, okay? Don't be ashamed of it, people. It makes you special and unique. You have this disease for a reason. But you have these overlay patches where you literally like peel off this label and then you stick it on your skin, and then you peel off this white label, and it's literally a clear little patch that kind of goes around the sensor adhesive so it stays on. Anyways, so I got a free pack of 10 of those, and actually my certified diabetes educator gave me one at my training, so I've tried one already, and they've been pretty cool, but I alternate between those and Expression Med. I do have some plain Expression Med that I'm going to decorate, so maybe I can film a video for you guys about me doing artsy stuff with my diabetes, because I do love doing art. I did take art classes all 4 years of my high school. I was a part of the National Art Honor Society, so I'm pretty good, but I'm not, like, Pablo Picasso or anything. But anyways, so that's that on it staying on. I have not tried it without a patch. If you would like to, go for it, but honestly, I was not willing to take a risk, even though my insurance does cover quite a bit of the cost. Next year, once the deductible has to get resatisfied, I probably will be paying quite a bit, but hopefully by the earlier in the year, I'll have that deductible satisfied with all the insulin and all the different things I gotta buy to manage my diabetes, that the deductible will be satisfied quite quickly, and that I can end up paying, having the insurance pay 80, I think it's 80% with mine. I'm not 100% sure. I gotta look into all that again. They pay 80%. Once the deductible is satisfied, you only pay the remaining 20% copay. So that's that. Now, as far as the alerts go, do I like the alerts? So there's a tons of different alerts that you can have. I'm going to open up my receiver and show you guys so that I don't miss any of them. So there's a high alert, a low alert, something new with the G6 is the urgent low soon alert, rise rate, fall rate, signal loss, and no readings. So I'll go through and explain. So high alert, you can set a high bar so that you know when your blood sugar goes above a certain level. For me, I set it at 200 milligrams per deciliter. I'll put that in millimoles. The low alert's pretty basic too. You set a bar for when anytime it'll alert you, anytime your blood sugar goes below a certain level. For me, when I hit at 75 or below, it will alarm me. It will turn red when you're low on your phone or on your receiver. Gray is in range. Like me, I'm in range. And high is yellow. As you can see, the high alarm went off earlier when I was at 201. So it was just past that high alert. Anyways, and then there's a couple other new ones. So the urgent low soon alert is something new that was added to the G6. It is an alert that if it is sensing that your blood sugar is dropping pretty fast, it'll give you an alert no matter what level you're at. Say you're at 90 but you got 2 straight arrows headed down, or you're 65 with a slight arrow headed down, but within 20 minutes your blood sugar will be at 55 milligrams per deciliter or less. It'll alert you with a totally different tone. And it'll repeat for 20 minutes at a time. The high and low alerts you can set to repeat how often you'd like. For the low alerts, I have mine to repeat every 30 minutes. For the high alerts, I have mine repeat every hour. There's also a rise rate and fall rate. You can actually set those. I only have the fall rate one on, so it'll go do-do-do-do-do when your blood sugar is falling really fast so that you could maybe take action before you hit a low. You can also do a rise rate where it'll alarm you too, dee-dee-dee-dee, when your blood sugar goes super duper high, or is rising beyond like your high level and you're headed like 250 with double arrows up. You can kind of correct and get that blood sugar back to a healthy range before it gets dangerously high or you end up with ketones or feeling like absolute crap. And the other two alerts are obviously the signal loss and the no readings. It'll basically just beep or buzz a couple times saying that you're not close enough to your phone for the receiver or the transmitter and the receiver or your phone to connect and transmit glucose readings. Or if there's no readings, something went goofy or whatever. So, that's the alerts. How about the comfortability of wearing it? Honestly, I don't even feel like I'm wearing it most times. Now, when I go to take my bra off, because sometimes I wear a sports bra, I have to be careful I don't like rub it over here. Sometimes that's the only time I'll feel it. Or if I stretch my arm a certain way, I might be able to feel my tape a little more, but I don't really feel like a needle or something bulky that I'm hanging onto on my body. So it's very comfortable to wear. I was actually kind of scared that I was gonna like hate having a device attached to me, but honestly it is so sleek. The design of it's much thinner than the G5 and G4, I believe. It's pretty thin. I don't know, I would show you pretty thin. It's if like this is your skin, like the base level of your skin, it probably sticks up about this much. So that's probably about 3/4 of a centimeter to a 1/2 centimeter. I'll actually take a ruler and measure and put the actual measurement here for you guys on a text screen here. But anyways, the comfortability is pretty gosh darn good. I was impressed. Like I said, I was scared to have a device attached to me, but honestly, now I'm just getting so used to comfortable with it. So nothing I would really worry about. And I'm going to talk about, too, a few times when I had the sensors were ready to expire, it was giving me just a number with no arrow. And I've also had some times where it would sensor error right before my expiration time. I wasn't worried about calling Dexcom just because it was ready to expire in a couple hours. I had that with 2 of my 4 sensors, but I haven't had a problem since. So it might have been just a little bit of a faulty sensor at the end. But again, if you are getting sensor errors and the blood sugars are really inaccurate and it's not working for you and it's only like you're, in the middle of its session life, please talk to Dexcom because obviously you want to get a replacement sensor for that. Somebody did mention to me in the comments that when you do get a circle with no arrow, it might mean that you might be dehydrated. So I've been doing that a couple times when I've seen that happen and the arrow has come back. So it might not be able to pick up readings because there isn't enough fluid in your cells and they're a little dehydrated. So drink a glass or 2 of water and it'll, or some sort of beverage, and it'll level it right off. So I haven't had a problem since then. So thank you to that person who commented that. I won't say their name. They're obviously in the comments. They're public here, but I won't say who it was. But she and I have been communicating a little bit on Beyond Type 1. So anyways, the last thing I'm going to talk about is pricing. So I have insurance, so I can't really say what it costs to buy directly from Dexcom or to buy without an insurance plan. But I can't imagine it's very cheap. I would probably say in the U.S. it's probably at least $300 for a month's worth of sensors. And the transmitter has to be replaced every 3 months, so I would assume a transmitter probably costs the same amount as 3 sensors without insurance. Or for me, next year I might have to pay that amount when the deductible needs to get resatisfied. But again, it won't take long for me to satisfy my deductible. At the rate I'm going to go with buying insulin and needles and some test strips and whatever else I need to keep on stock to keep me going here, and the sensors and stuff, it won't take long to satisfy the deductible. So for me, because my insurance covers about 80% of my costs, I pay about $60 to $100 a month for a copay for these sensors, so a lot better cost to me. Some people pay more or less depending on what their insurance, but again, you need to look specifically at your insurance plan to see what they cover. Again, once the deductible needs to be resatisfied come January 1st of this coming year, or every January 1st, you're going to have to pay a little more until that deductible is satisfied. My goal is hopefully to have my deductible satisfied fairly early in the year so that I can get the rest of the year pretty much covered. Sorry this video is so long-winded, but I'm going to say my final thoughts here, and I hope this video helped you guys. My final thoughts is it worth it to get this? Absolutely. For any of you type 1 diabetics, you know that finger sticking is not fun. You know that it doesn't give you an idea of what's happening in between meals or in between shots. You only know what's happening then and now. You don't know what direction you're going, and you don't know what's going on in between time. This gives you a measurement every 5 minutes, so you get a very good idea of what's happening with your blood sugars. The accuracy is great. Push through that first sensor, you guys. That is the worst part, getting through the first sensor, and after that, it's smooth running. Honestly, to me, I have my life back now. I don't have to be as consistent with meals anymore. Because I have the freedom to say, okay, my blood sugar's 91, I'm not going to eat dinner for another 3 hours. I can eat a little snack and bring it up to 120 or 130, and by the time dinner rolls around, my basal will take care of it and bring it back down between, keep it at 130 to, 100 again. So it'll be absolutely perfect. So I've gotten my life back. It's a great thing to kind of be able to have diabetes flex around me, because honestly, I don't want diabetes to control me. I want to control diabetes. So to have that flexibility is absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I'm thankful to have insurance that'll cover most of the cost of this. For those of you that don't have insurance, I'm very, very sorry. It sucks. It must really suck to not have insurance. I mean, I can't imagine going through paying everything right out of pocket. And I can't imagine what insulin costs for you, too. So I guess I'll keep praying for you that things turn out better, or that you're able to get help and get insured as soon as possible so that you can get these things covered. I understand that not everybody can afford these things, but honestly, even if I couldn't afford this, I probably would go into debt on my credit card just to have this, to be honest with you, just because my life is more precious than money. So, with that being said, this is all my thoughts on my first sensor impressions of the Dexcom G6. Again, I apologize, this video is very long-winded, but it is very informative to help you guys out. I will try to leave time links down below, so if you're looking for specific pieces, from the alerts to the insertion to the accuracy to the trendings, the comfortability and pricing, you guys can kind of see exactly what I think to my final thoughts. So anyways, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel. You can hit the subscribe button down below, and if you do decide to subscribe, you can turn on the notification bell next to the subscribe button so you never miss when I upload something new. And once I hit 100 subscribers, I will be posting my diabetes diagnosis stories, so that is coming along great. So anyways, I hope you are all doing well, and I will see you guys on next Friday for another video. Until then, everybody, I hope you continue to live your life, and I hope things are going well. Again, if you need to talk to anybody, or you feel like you need to just vent about your diabetes, you feel like you're going through a burnout, feel free to message me on my Instagram, or Beyond Type 1, or even Twitter. I will try to answer as many questions as possible. Or if you have more questions, leave them in the comments below. I will try to answer them as best as possible. I'm here to help you guys just as much as you guys are here to help me. Thank you to all those who have interacted with me on all my social medias. I really appreciate it. It is a lot of fun, especially on Beyond Type 1. I like to comment on people's posts. I like to cheer people on and just help people out in general as much as they helped me, as I am a new diabetic myself. I'm almost 5 months in. So anyways, with that being said, take care, God bless, be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. Bye, everybody.